Ladies and gents, prepare to have your mind blown as I tell you the truth. And the truth is, Arcane Mage is now fun. You heard me right. You heard me right. What's going on? Enhancement Shaman came first, and now the Arcane Mage? What is this? What's happening? It's unbelievable to me, but I am happy. Very, very happy. Because for years, I have detested this spec. So I will preface this vid as I make a ton of mistakes on here. Arcane is one of the most underplayed classes on this channel, or specs, I should say, purely because I detested it. I did it for the guides and then left it alone. I was like, okay, respect, regemmed, reforged. There you go. There's Arcane, bye. And never wanted to touch it again. But God, I have had a blast on my Arcane Mage. So, what has changed? It's a bit of a 50-50, guys. A bit of a 50-50 on how this is going to play out. Firstly, the big change is the addition of your level 100 talent. Now, bit of a bummer. You're gonna have to wait till level 100, I imagine, before you really get a grasp of what I'm talking about. This isn't something you can really apply in Mists of Pandaria at all. And that level 100 talent is Arcane Orb, ripped directly from Diablo 3's hands, brought into World of Warcraft, and it is glorious for a number of reasons. I don't care about the damage. What it does do is interact with Arcane Charge. The most boring aspect of Arcane for me was simply that the way we generate those charges is either long cast A of boredom, which doesn't even have an effect, or long cast B, which you generally wait till 4 charges anyway to do, so you're kind of stuck with long charge A. Either of which is both really boring and slow, and I don't want to play this spec anymore. Oh. But then we bring in this Arcane Orb. This short cooldown AoE spell travels through the sky, looks fantastic, gives a little bit of fun every time you throw it out there, hits multiple targets, and when it does, it grants you arcane charges. Yes, it does. So what does this mean? Why does this suddenly switch the spec? Why does this one little spell do so much? Because now we have choices in what we want to do. We're thinking about how to use our Arcane Orb in order to distribute our charges. We can easily now dump our charges with our barrage, cleave the shit out of those mobs, then drop an Arcane Orb on those mobs, instantly back to 4 charges. None of that weird downtime that was really slow and like, I have to wait for this. Maybe I should Arcane Explosion, but I only have a 30% chance of generating charges that way. Do I want to? I kind of want to throw out an Arcane Barrage here. I've got my 4 charges and do some nice big heavy cleave, but then will I be able to get back to 4? Arcane had all these loops and troughs of just like, what do I do here? Because neither of which is a great solution. I will admit, as always, is that Arcane has quite a high skill cap, and people are going to go, what? It does. A lot of tricks and tips involved with keeping Arcane up to 4 charges and maintaining that high mana is actually something that's reasonably difficult to do. But yeah, this is great. This is what it needed. Something fun, instant cast, loads of stuff. At the moment, it appears that Arcane Orb does too much damage. I don't care. It's not what I'm using it for. I'm using it to interact with my arcane charges. It's possibly going to get nerfed in terms of how much damage it does. That's fine. It's not what I want it. Now, a couple of 50-50s, like I said. One, Arcane Orb may not be the go-to level 100 talent for Arcane. It's entirely possible that the other talents will be better. And if that is the case, that will be sad times, because the other talents do not interact with arcane charges. Your Prismatic Crystal does not generate arcane charges, which is a little bit sad. Neither does Overpowered, which increases the arcane power. So that's generally, maybe, depending on procs, actually going to be overall better damage. And if that's the case, we will be dropping down to our normal sort of arcane play. We will be dropping down to just the usual stuff. I hope it's not the case. I hope they could alter Overpowered and Prismatic Crystal to perhaps interact with Arcane Charge in some way. When your Arcane Crystal expires, you gain charges. So your last blast on that Prismatic Crystal, which detonates, is actually going to be an Arcane Barrage, because when it disappears, it's going to give you some charges back. Overpowered, I should say. That might work out okay, as it does extend your main DPS cooldown, the arcane power, which isn't a particularly long cooldown, especially in the effects of Bloodlust. It's only 15 seconds, right? So perhaps that will work out okay, but you will again be stuck with this usual style of generating arcane charges. It could work out that Arcane Orb's single target, as it is an AoE-ish spell, isn't great either. There's always that possibility that Arcane Orb is an AoE. It hits multiple targets, it hits them pretty hard. It's not affected by Arcane Charge, for those wondering. It will do the same damage with 0 charges and with 4. So it's possible, again, single target, it's not going to be worth it. And again, on a normal boss, we're actually going to be stuck back in the old days. What I can tell you guys, and what I'm really happy about, is playing Arcane right now and using this setup is a ton of fun. An absolute ton of fun. It's interesting. It's interactive. The choices I'm making aren't boring. I know I can guarantee that I'm going to flirt back up to a certain amount of arcane charges. It doesn't cost me mana. Arcane Orb is extremely cheap. It's 1,600 mana of 160k, essentially free. And therefore, I'm not having this downtime period of laboring to try and get back up to my 4 charges. That's the quick look at Arcane. We'll wait and see what changes. We'll wait and see what Blizzard does, and I will come back to you on that, guys. But for right now, happy fucking sunny days. It's a Christmas miracle, and I'm really happy about it. All right, guys. Bye.